Hi everyone, 3 Men and a Whiskey, and I am still behind on my advent calendars. I'm playing catch up, but hopefully in the course of the next day or so, I can be back on track. Earlier today I watched Scrooged with Bill Murray, a classic Christmas comedy from the 1980s, and I'm following it up now with another classic Christmas comedy from the 1980s. And the film I'm going to watch is Trading Places with Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. And it's a classic Christmas comedy. And in fact, it's not just a classic Christmas comedy, it's a classic comedy, period. It appears on a lot of people's top comedy lists. It's on my list of top comedies because I absolutely love this film. It is dated. Absolutely, it is dated. There are definitely bits in there that, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't get away with doing this in this day and age. But again, it's a 40+ year movie, so we'll cut it a little bit of slack and see how it holds up for 2024. One of the things I love about movies in general is that those what if moments, and what if Home Alone hadn't been able to find another studio when production was cancelled because of budgetary concerns. We may not have got one of the greatest Christmas movies of all time. And Hollywood is littered with these kind of what ifs. And Trading Places has a big one. What if they had not cast Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd? Would Eddie Murphy's career have skyrocketed the way it did? Because he was not globally famous before this movie. He was well known. He was up and coming. Dan Aykroyd, he was a bit more well known. He had been in a great double act with John Belushi, but many people in the industry didn't think he could do it without John Belushi, and so he wasn't really considered for a film like this. So again, I love those kind of what if moments, because this film, Trading Places, was meant for two different people. It was meant for Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder, and those two at the time in 1983 were absolute titans of comedy. They weren't up and coming. They were already globally famous. They were great actors and comedians in their own right. And they were a great double act. They'd worked together previously. But fate intervened, which meant that they couldn't be cast in this film. Or I should say fate intervened and it meant Richard Pryor couldn't be cast in this film. But that meant they came as a package, so Gene Wilder couldn't be in it either. And the studio went off in another direction. And luckily, we got Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. And the double act that they produced for this film, I still maintain, is absolutely legendary. They are so good together in this film. And they are supported brilliantly by a great cast around them. Jamie Lee Curtis is superb in her role, and Denholm Elliott, who was one of my dad's favourites back in the day. Great, and loads and loads of others. It's a really good cast. It's a really good film, and I'm going to see how it holds up 41 years later. And in honour of this film, which does involve lots of scenes of down on their luck, homeless characters keeping themselves warm on those cold winter nights by drinking whiskey out of brown paper bags. I've got my whiskey in a brown paper bag ready and waiting for me. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. I will crack it open and I'll let you know. I'll let you know in the second part. But I felt it was the right thing to do. I can tell you that it is an American whiskey, so it's whiskey with an E, spelled incorrectly. And it's probably not as cheap as the whiskey that was being drunk on Trading Places, but I do have some standards to uphold. So, there you go. So, I'm going to go and watch Trading Places. I'm going to drink my whiskey out of a brown paper bag, and we'll see how it goes. All right, catch you in a bit. All right, I have finished with Trading Places, and that was good fun. I enjoyed that. I really did enjoy that. It's still a comedy classic. It really, really is. It has dated. There's elements of it that are, incredibly dodgy for this day and age. But again, it's 41 years old. A risque comedy was all the was very much in vogue back then. So, I am giving it a pass for a few of their choices because it's just such a good film, and I think we'd be worse off without it because, would Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy have gone on to even bigger and better things if they hadn't been in this film? I'm not entirely sure they would, because, everyone needs their big break, and this one certainly was. So really, really good. Both the lead actors both on their own and when they get together in the final act. It's just comedy gold. Very, very funny, very well done. Works as both a Christmas movie and as just a movie on its own. I used to watch it around Christmas, but I used to watch it other times as well. So it absolutely is up there. It's probably not as Christmassy as some of the other films that I'm watching during this run. For that, I'll probably mark it down a little bit, but it's still absolutely brilliant. Really, really is. Definitely not one for the kids. But again, you probably would know that already. It's I think it was rated R in the States. It was probably a 15 over here. So not one for the kids, but a classic Christmas film. And I had great fun watching it. What will I give it? 9 ladies dancing, I think, is probably fair. Knocked down a little bit because of the fact that it wasn't quite as Christmassy as some of the other classics that I'm watching, but still very, very good. And as for the whiskey, well, my brown bag whiskey, I did mention that it was whiskey with an E. It was American whiskey that I drank. I did. And it's Michter's Straight Rye from Kentucky. Quite an old place. This has been going for a good few years, and again, it's a decent rye. It really is. I know not everyone is into their American whiskey. There's a lot out there, and it can be hit and miss because there's so many kind of small batch distillers and all that kind of stuff, and so because of that, the quality levels can vary. But this is really, really, really good from my perspective. It's very sweet, as you would expect with a rye whiskey. Little bit of burn there, but not overly so. It's still reasonably smooth for what it is, and I very much enjoyed sipping on it. I promise. I know I brown paper bagged it, but I promise I haven't drunk all this during the course of that movie. I have had this bottle for a while. And I can definitely recommend it. I think it's, if you want to branch out from Scottish whiskey and things like that and try a bit of American stuff, this one's pretty decent. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, which is a pretty good score. And I have a little bit left in the glass. See, I didn't actually drink it out of the brown paper bag because it's not a great look. It's got to be said. So no, I actually put it in a really nice glass because I was feeling, in the spirit of the movie with all of the, gentlemen's clubs and everything else that they're frequenting throughout the movie. I should try my bit. So yeah, there we go. Very much enjoyed my whiskey. Very much enjoyed the movie. I am slowly but surely catching up with the date. I've had another one of my chocolates, so I'm almost there with that. Got a couple more movies to do to catch up properly. I'll probably finish those through tomorrow. So hopefully by the time we hit, what would that be, Wednesday, I will be fully back on track. So yeah, there we go. Thank you very much. Please do like, subscribe, and all that jazz. And I will catch you in the next one. Cheers.